Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. This is the inaugural Good Ideas Salon in Toronto. And Tony Chapman is going to moderate tonight, and he's CEO and owner of Capital C.
I hope we have a lot of fun in the next hour. The topic is media. And before we get into it, and what I hope is not going to be a session where you just want to put a fork in your eye because we've heard it all before. And that's why we invited these four individuals, which will be almost impossible to corral. But why don't you guys introduce yourselves, and you don't need to talk about your legendary status. Just tell us a little bit what you do, and what's the thing you wish you thought you had created in the media world?
I'm Dave Jones. I'm Vice President of Digital at Hill & Knowlton Public Relations in Toronto. Part of my job is to take clients who want to somehow get into the social media space and get them there, or deal with the crazies who are talking about them there and connect them with the fans who they want to hug online, but somehow make it all make sense for a bunch of companies and organizations who are either super gung-ho or super freaked out about what's going on online these days. And what I wish I had created in the online world is probably I would say blogging in its earliest form. I think was probably the thing that got it all started rolling into the mainstream now. So I think that's sort of created an evolution, and we just keep seeing constant evolution off of that blogging platform.
My name is Jesse Hirsch. I'm a national technology columnist for the CBC. I also run a firm called Open Flows, which I'm very, very slowly transforming into a firm called MetaViews, which does a combination of consulting and sort of deep research. If I were to retroactively invent something, the easy answer, of course, would be Google. But I think if I were to take something perhaps equally more pragmatic and utopian, I wish I were Linus Torvalds and created the Linux kernel and owned, as he does, own the trademark and control the kernel, because I think it's a very powerful position to be in.
All right. So I'm Jonathan Lister. I'm the Managing Director of Google Canada. I've worked at AOL. I've run search and programming for about the last kind of 9 years in this industry, both in Canada and in the UK. And I've been at Google for about 3 months, so relatively new, but happy to talk about that as much as you guys want to hear about it. I'm a bit of it's kind of a network junkie. I'm not a technical guy. I do love, I'm really geeky in the sense that I just love like efficiencies and love like market efficiencies. I don't know whether I wish I'd invented it, but I certainly love the power of networks like Wikipedia and LinkedIn. I mean, to me, they're so game changing, and they're just, this to me is what's going to revolutionize and change the world, and it's happening now. But I love that stuff.
My name is Matthew Ingram, and I'm the communities editor, as we call it, at the Globe. I've been a writer, columnist, blogger, and I took on this job, I guess, in November. And my job is to think of all the ways that the Globe can and should and might interact with readers online. So everything from blogs to wikis to Twitter to Facebook, all the ways that we can get input from readers, all the ways that we can sort of respond to them or interact with them. So that's been pretty exciting, because that's not something typically that newspapers are very good at doing. So there's a lot of learning and a lot of sort of evangelism, external and internal. So I guess if I could have created something, obviously Google's would be a great answer, but I actually think I wish I had created Twitter. I would have come up with a different name, though, because it's very difficult to talk about Twitter seriously, because you sound like a 5-year-old, because you're talking about tweets and tweeting and twittering, and so it's difficult to have a serious conversation. But it's an incredibly powerful tool for something. It's so tiny, and there's so little to it. And yet people have done such incredible things. I think it's effectively creating a pretty incredible network.
That's great. So I'm going to start off with low-hanging fruit, which is television. And we have obviously someone from the TV world, but You know, the one thing that unites everybody in this audience is that we're in the business of getting attention. It's the oxygen of building brands. It's the oxygen of capitalism. You have to get somebody's attention. Glory days at television, TV trays, 60% of people tuned in. Their whole life revolved around when Bonanza was on TV. Every ad was magical because it was new, and brands just soared. And the more you bought television, the louder you shouted, the better you did. Fast forward to now, it seems like television's on life support. Do you think TV, as we know it, will be around in the very near future?
As we know it, no, because I think it's significantly different than it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Just cable. You look at the proliferation of cable now, and cable shows winning awards that had traditionally gone to the broadcast television station, and so to me, it's already changed significantly, and now with the audiences getting smaller and smaller and effectively kind of more and more expensive, I think it's going to be significantly different in a few years. And look what's happening with video and online video, and whether or not these YouTube deals that they've signed with Universal and other studios will amount to much, I have no idea. But the fact is, we're trying to kind of create new distribution channels today for television.
It's interesting though, despite all the sort of fragmentation and all of that stuff, you look at something like Susan Boyle, 100 million views, the fastest that anything has gotten to 100 million views. 100 million is a big number. I mean, that is a huge number. And that's from a TV show.
So television's a catalyst then?
Well, I think I don't think we need to think about, I think it was Jeff Pulver was talking about, new media isn't replacing old media. New media is working together with old media to create something different. So you've got a clip from a TV show, but it's being distributed through YouTube, through links on Twitter, all these sort of social media tools to create this incredible event.
So where's the economic model? Turn to you guys. Where's the economic model that's going to fund whatever that Star program was in BBC over in England, or it's going to fund the HBO model? Where's the economics that's going to say we can afford to put that kind of content out for free?
I think there's something to be said with regard to talent development in terms of where the economic model has to look. That traditionally far too much money was spent developing narratives, developing shows, that it wasn't a big deal if they failed. Whereas now we have an economics, a microeconomics, that allows shows to be developed for very little money, allows the Susan Boyle, right? The Susan Boyles of the world to really break out, because we're breaking down in terms of a grassroots disintegration how talent is harnessed. And for me, the analogy is Major League Baseball, that you might be the greatest pitcher in high school and university ball, you're still going to single A, you're still going to double A, you're still spending maybe 18 months before you're ready for the big show. So why not have the Trailer Park Boys, which I think is a comparable example, be developed on the web for a few seasons? And then once it's developed an audience, then you invest in it and put it up to the main platform. Maybe that's broadcast TV, maybe it's something else.
How do you get attention? In the last 6 months, YouTube's uploaded more video than the 3 networks have produced in 60 years. So it's great to say that, but if the business of attention, you have a trailer, how do you get attention? What I'm trying to understand is, we're talking about fragmentation like we've never seen. Yeah. Like I mean, the exponential is beyond belief. So you make the argument that says this is a great way to build my 2 seasons of work, but
if Susan Boyle has 100 million views, you can't monetize that.
You can monetize that, but for every Susan Boyle,
you're placing big bets on program development as it is. So I think I think you'll see placing similar sized bets, but more of the money goes to distribution, and more of the money goes to what are the distribution channels, and how do I get this show marketed? How do I get this program or this entertainment marketed? The business model exists. I mean, ad supported at scale is a pretty good model.